In the adrenaline-pumping world of freestyle motocross, Tyrone Gilks was a rising star who was known for his fierce determination and dreamed to be the best in the world. But in the blink of an eye, the thrill turned to tragedy, and the dirt ramps, which always embraced his jumps, would become a scene of a heartbreaking incident. Join us today as we journey through the amazing life of Tyrone Gilks, from his early achievements to the chilling details of that tragic day. Tyrone Gilks was born on December 11, 1993 in Newcastle, Australia. He spent his childhood around motorcycles as his father, Kevin Gilks, was a former competitive rider. According to his family, it was evident from the start that young Tyrone possessed a fearless spirit as well as a deep love for motorcycles. And this trait became unmistakably clear when Tyrone started riding motorcycles at an exceptionally early age of just 5 years old. Racing alongside his brother in local events, Tyrone slowly developed his skills and gained valuable hands-on experience in competitive racing. That being said, Tyrone's passion for motorcycles didn't just stop at traditional motocross events, as he longed for something more challenging. His parents later said in an interview that from the first moment he hopped on a motorcycle, Tyrone had an innate drive to break records and be the best in the world. And in 2003, at the young age of 10, this drive led him to officially transitioning to freestyle motocross, which was known for its daring stunts and long jumps. This decision worked in his favor as in the same year, he made a name for himself by setting an unofficial record for the longest ramp-to-dirt jump on his 65cc motorcycle. The distance he covered was 97 feet, which was equivalent to the height of a 9-story building. Not stopping there, the next year he broke his own record by jumping 112 feet, and then it improved to 114 feet on the same 65cc machine. These early achievements earned him the exposure he'd been waiting for, and he soon gained the backing of Yamaha. "With Yamaha and a great team behind me, I'm ready for any challenges," he said in an interview. In 2008, he made the switch to an 85cc motorcycle and wasted no time setting yet another record with an incredible 169 feet jump on his Yamaha. And though his fame started skyrocketing, Tyrone never slowed down and kept working toward his goal. At just 12 years old, he became one of the youngest riders to ever pull off a backflip onto dirt, which was another significant moment of his rising career. Then in 2009, after switching to 125cc motorcycles, he truly became a force to be reckoned with when he shattered the record of Australian stunt legend Robbie Maddison. He did this by performing a 242 feet ramp-to-dirt jump. Other than his daring jumps, Tyrone's freestyle career was also impressive, where in 2010 he joined a JCFMX team. And just a couple of years later, he won the freestyle motocross event at the 2012 New Zealand Unit Farm Jam, and then followed up with a second place in the year 2013. In fact, 2013 was an even more memorable year for Tyrone, as during the event, he became the first person to land a dirt-to-dirt 360 jump and even won a prize for best trick. To put it in simple terms, a 360 is one of the most challenging tricks in motocross, where the rider launches the motorcycle into the air and completes a full spin around its axis before landing. Tyrone's fierce nature and dedication quickly made him a fan favorite and earned him nicknames such as Bear and Snowflake. Those who were close to him often used to say that Tyrone was rather a funny person off track who loved pulling pranks and joking about just about anything related to racing and the thrill of the sport. That being said, in a tragic twist, it would be the same love for thrill which would claim his life just months later. At the start of 2013, 19-year-old Tyrone Gilks started yet another ambitious journey. Unlike his past records, where he had covered distances ranging between 114 to 241 feet, this particular challenge was on a whole new level. His goal was to set a new world record for the longest ramp-to-dirt motorcycle jump on a 250cc two-stroke machine at the Maitland Bike and Hot Rod Show in New South Wales. During that time, the record was held by a famous American rider, Ryan Capes, who had just jumped an incredible 310 feet, equivalent to the length of a standard football field. Tyrone seemed excited and even shared the details about the event happening on March 23, 2013, through a Facebook post where he asked his fans, as well as his close ones, to be there and watch him. Little did he know that tragedy awaited him. The Maitland Showground, where the event was organized, covered 25 acres and had multiple tracks, including a smaller oval track where Tyrone was supposed to perform his act. Months before the event, he bought a new Yamaha YZ250 motorcycle and worked with a local mechanic for days or perhaps even weeks to reach the speed he'd need for the jump. Then, in early March, with the help of a local earth-moving contractor, a dirt landing ramp approximately 22 feet high was built in the center, followed by a 13-foot-long flat section, which in racing terms was known as the safety deck. On the other side, for the takeoff ramp, the team decided to use the same 12-foot-high steel structure Tyrone had been using previously, which was proven to have a satisfactory performance. Moreover, he was already familiar with the ramp, as it was designed by experienced consulting engineers 7 years earlier, and could launch the motorcycle into the air at a 28-degree angle. Everything seemed to be going according to the schedule, but during the initial practice session, Tyrone and the team faced a rather serious problem. To hit the required 84-mile-an-hour speed and execute the jump safely, he needed more straight-line acceleration. And since the track was oval and had limited space, the team had to come up with a different approach. According to their plan, Tyrone would start his run on a sealed service road at the very back of the showground, then make a sharp turn off it to launch toward the ramp. Plus, to help maintain traction on the existing dirt track, a long concrete strip, which was approximately 4 feet wide, was installed from the starting point all the way to the takeoff ramp. I've been preparing for this jump for the past few months, and now that everything's ready to go, I'm just pumped. My previous jumps have all generated a great response from extreme action sports fans, but I think this will exceed anything I've ever done before, he said in an interview just before the tragedy. On the morning of March 21, 2013, during the main trial sessions, the weather was pretty normal, with clear skies and a light wind, which according to the experts wasn't enough to pose any major problems. By 10:30 a.m. local time, Tyrone had shown a promising performance by reaching the jump distance of 200 feet, where his sister, Samantha, was recording his time and speed in her small notebook. Then, after what seemed like a few minutes, when the ramp was moved back 30 feet, Tyrone successfully executed another jump, covering the distance of 270 feet. However, he landed hard and upright because of some slightly low speed. That must have hurt, his mechanic said while worrying about him. It did, but I hadn't used full throttle yet, Tyrone replied while ignoring the little setback and getting ready for another attempt. Everyone who was present there, including the media, had their fair share of doubts and questions about how Tyrone would pull off the feat. That being said, having done such jumps multiple times before, he was confident. To him, it was like another day at the office. However, as soon as he went airborne from the ramp at 10:39 a.m., it became clear that something had gone terribly wrong. During that run, as his motorcycle reached the takeoff ramp, his father radioed an urgent message to the spotter, Martin, saying, "Pull him out," because the speed reading showed 75 miles an hour, which was dangerously below the required level. And although Martin immediately waved his hands to warn Tyrone, he missed or perhaps ignored the signal. As his Yamaha took off from the ramp, he immediately realized that his front wheel had started dipping at an alarming rate, and he wouldn't clear the landing zone safely. During that split second, Tyrone pushed the throttle hard, which caused his motorcycle to pitch backward while midair, and instead of landing smoothly, he hit the top edge of the landing ramp at a devastating speed. The force of the impact was so severe that he was thrown forward with his motorcycle, approximately 59 feet before coming to a halt on the sloped ramp. As the dust settled, his father and sister immediately ran towards him where Tyrone seemed unconscious. His father slowly removed his helmet and Tyrone let out a small cough before his breathing slowed and face started turning blue. The emergency crew as well as medical personnel immediately arrived at the scene to assess the situation. That said, despite the initial treatment, there was nothing they could do, and he was immediately transported to the nearby Maitland District Hospital. Sadly, Tyrone showed signs of irreversible damage and was pronounced dead upon arrival at the age of 19. The investigation, which started after the crash, as well as the medical report presented by the hospital, revealed that the primary cause of death was trauma to the chest, head, and internal organs from the heavy impact. During the moment when he landed abruptly, his front tire hit the top edge of the ramp while his rear wheel was struck just below it. The intensity of the impact was so severe that the front forks of his motorcycle crumpled completely, and his chest struck the handlebars, which turned out to be the fatal injury. Further testimonies from the witnesses revealed that even after all the signals and warnings, Tyrone was confident, or some would later say overconfident in his skills, and decided to ignore conditions which were not ideal for the jump. It was tense. You could feel the worry in the air. When he took off at less than full speed, everyone knew the risk. The crash was horrible and sudden, some of the people who witnessed the incident said in their statement. And though the final verdict was right or error, the motocross community lost one of its most talented riders that day. On Thursday, March 28, 2013, Tyrone's funeral took place at Macquarie Hills Church, which was attended by approximately 1,200 mourners, including friends, family, and fellow riders. As a tribute, his coffin was covered with tens of hundreds of stickers displaying his race plate number 777. He was one of the most talented and fearless riders I've ever had the privilege to race alongside, former racer Lance Russell said while expressing his grief. Tyrone Gilks was arguably one of the brightest stars in freestyle motocross, and his legacy would live on through the riders he ended up inspiring. And although his life was cut short, he stands as a reminder to the risks of the sports and the razor-thin line between triumph and disaster. To many, he was reckless, but for those who truly knew him, they say there was no recklessness. Just a young man chasing his dreams with a carefully engineered plan. He was indeed a devoted son, an ambitious rider, and one of the most important parts of the motocross community. Looking back on his incredible journey and achievements, it's impossible not to wonder what might have been if he had stopped just before the ramp. Ride on, 777.